Today we're doing a puppy draft from the 12 spot. Who are we going to get? Gonna get anybody to fall? Fingers crossed. Hopefully I don't make too many reaches. This is The Climb. Alright, like I said before, today we are drafting from the 12 spot, my least favorite spot to draft from. Unless somebody falls, I'm not a huge fan of this draft spot, but I think that makes things a little bit more exciting. Get to see where my brain's working, how I'm going to reach for players when I need to reach for them, go ahead and take the values when they come around, so on and so forth. I would like to go ahead and plug some content we have coming this week. This Wednesday, we're doing our first ever live stream, so please hop in. We're going to be doing some puppy drafts. Hopefully, you guys can get in with us, draft against us, maybe steal some of our players. All kinds of fun things will be going on. And then Thursday, we're doing a rookie draft, aka our friend Ben. It's first time ever doing best ball, so we're just kind of excited to see where his mind will go. The decisions you make when you're a beginner versus when you've been doing this for Erwin's been doing it for 3 full years. He's been doing it for a while and he's been very successful. Last year was my first year of best ball and I had a lot of fun doing it, and this year I'm taking it obviously quite a bit more seriously. So off the top, we got the first two normal ones: Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp coming off at 4. Instead, Tyreek Hill goes early, which is a little bit more unique. I'm hoping that someone like Austin Ekeler falls to me. I really do think Ekeler is undervalued currently, solely for the fact that, so much for that, solely for the fact that he is going at probably be around Christian McCaffrey numbers in my eyes. He's in a high-powered offense still that's going to score a lot of points. So we're going to see how that actually translates. If we get Bijan here, I'm definitely taking Bijan or Kelsey because I don't get either of these guys at the 12 spot. I almost rather have Kelsey to make this super unique build. I mean, how often are you getting Kelsey, CeeDee Lamb? Not very often, apparently. So we're going to go ahead and definitely queue up Bijan. Erwin, I hope you're happy. It happened. So we'll be looking at Bijan or CeeDee Lamb. Probably should just go these two to make the most unique build. I think that's what we will do, just because the ADP is a little awkward. So bam and bam gets our guys here. So we'll be looking around Chicago, then obviously Detroit going forward. It's nice not to get the basic Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb stack here. It's almost what you're forced into doing a lot of times, I feel. If the ADP falls the typical way, that's the route I go pretty much every single time. Erwin just did it actually in one of his, the best ball in 15 he just did. So make sure you actually check that out as well. It was a very good video. Turned out with a pretty good team. I liked it a lot. The roster construction is amazing. So go ahead and check that out if you guys haven't already. So guys, we're looking at going forward around this turn. D-Hop is an option. It seems where his ADP has been landing. Who else is sitting around there? Amari Cooper, Debo. I've drafted plenty of Debo already. If I get Ridley, I don't hate it, solely for the fact that, so we can go look in the eyes of any of the Carolina receivers late. I've been drafting a little bit more Chuba Hubbard at the end when I've been a little more running back light at the front part of the draft. So just that's where my brain's thinking on stuff like this. What I've been wanting to do too is if I can get a Kupp Saquon draft eventually, that is like the ideal start in my eyes. You get Kupp to fall, take Saquon at ADP would be really, really cool. I don't really have any idea where our quarterbacks ADPs will be going. So that's something we got to keep an eye on. Depending on where we go. If we want to go T-Law, let's see where T-Law's ADP is in correlation, 64. So if we get Ridley, we could take him right here at 60, 61. So that might be the game plan. Oh no, we would never like to enter autopilot mode. The only time I do that is when I queue up about 3 or 4 players and we're in round 18 and I really don't care as much who I get in a slow draft, because man, I'm telling you, I still got slow drafts from the Puppy 1 that are going on that are maybe in like the 13th round. It's kind of sickening how long these drafts have been going, and I definitely will be doing less slow drafts when it comes to the Puppy 2 and probably 3. I would imagine the third one's going to be a super flex. I was kind of surprised that this one wasn't super flex, just solely for the fact that people seem to be very, very into super flex stuff going, and even I am. Ridley comes off the board super early. So hopefully someone interesting actually falls to us here. We're 10 picks away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'd be looking right at ETN D Hop if the front part of the board comes off. If not, then we got all the quarterbacks to choose from. Maybe we'd be able to go ahead and scoop up the Lamar, Mark Andrews stack. That'd be interesting. We can get a Miami running back. We could actually go Dalvin Cook potentially. I think that's a reach at his ADP. I think he's right in between the 60, 80 spots here. Let's see. I think he's, 74. He could fall to us if this draft is kind of frayed. It seems like we got a lot of badges here, so we got people that are relatively familiar with best ball. Man, I wonder what this guy went Ridley early. I mean, he's got some pretty elite guys there, but it is a reach on Ridley. He might have been able to get him to fall to his next pick. Hurts off the board at 28. Seems like quarterbacks are falling a little bit lower now. Let's go ahead and queue this up and just hope for the best. I'm not expecting this to go ahead and fall to us. I always seem Kelce is one of the guys in front of us. So if Lamar it's not impossible for this stack to come off. If it does, we're going to be looking at a lot of running backs and wide receivers in our future, since these are the two guys that are going to be our primary focus. Erwin actually just built a Baltimore stack that Lamar Jackson comes off the board. Okay, so we're probably going to fade that unless Mark Andrews is still there. I don't hate the idea, but we'll definitely go wide receiver going forward. If we believe D-Hop ends in Cleveland, which are the current betting odds, we'll be looking New York Jets. Brees just came off the board. I failed to realize that, so that'd be less exciting. Who else? Let's see. CD, Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago. We could look Justin Fields here if we wanted. Change things up. Baltimore, Miami still is an interesting game stack. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that we really love from that game that would be in there. All the Miami receivers are off. That's part of it. So we could get Andrews here unless this guy goes crazy. I'm just trying to think to correlate. This D-Hop speculation has just thrown everything out the window. He won't end up in Miami. Goes Najee off the board. We could go Jahmyr Gibbs too. I definitely think we take Andrews here. Maybe we go Andrews Fields? No. We definitely need to build around our receivers here. If D-Hop ends in Buffalo, that's pretty good. We got to kind of guess who we want to play with if we want to go around that route. I think we're just going to go ahead, go Andrews, get the elite tight end, and then not touch that for a long, long time. Probably get someone like Laporta towards the end of the draft to stack. I could go Gibbs here. Gibbs makes the most amount of sense. I have the Dallas, and it's a little bit different. Let's just do that. And this scares me, being so light on wide receiver. But luckily, I believe 60 is our next pick. 60, 61 is the next pick. So see the guys that are sitting around there. Chris Godwin wouldn't be a bad one. JSN. I do like Tyler Lockett a lot at this range. So we're taking the rookie running backs to start. Definitely guys that we are big on as a whole. And Gibbs just keeps going up and up in my eyes. But just because we took CD, we're kind of getting that different Dallas-Detroit game stack. I'm sure people have built a lot around that at the current spots we're drafting at. But to have Bijan there instead, hopefully that kind of tanks up on our RB2 spot, potential flex spot. So definitely a little bit interesting of a draft here for us. And I like this just solely that we have stuff spread across the board. I definitely want to try to have 4 wide receivers at least in these next 4 picks. D-Hop falls a little bit there compared to where he's been going. Judy and Mike Williams have shot up a little bit. Like I said, I think if we can look, Tyler Lockett potentially would be my ideal pick in the next round. If one of these Pittsburgh guys would fall, that would be excellent. We can also look Jaylen Warren, some guy I've been drafting a lot of. We'd be reaching for him at the 130. I don't think I would press him to fall too much. Kind of hard deciding at this far when you're 20 picks out from making your spots, your next selection. It's hard to guess what's going. And that's the part about drafting at the turn that's so difficult. We've said it time in and time out that when you're drafting at the turn, it's difficult to decide whether you want to strongly go build around the team stacks because it's more difficult and you have to reach in order to do so. Just thinking forward in the future, A-Chain's ADP is going around here, and I believe the other, I want to say Jeff Wilson is around 150. We should look into that as far ahead of we can. Mostert is 150. Where is Jeff Wilson's? I get all these guys mixed up because they're all the same in my eyes pretty much. The backfield is very, very similar. Making short. Jeff Wilson is going 167, which I believe is another spot that would be weird to take him. 10 spots at ADP at 150 isn't the worst thing. It's not exactly ideal, but kind of just where we're sitting. All right, 10 picks away. We'll flip over back to get what we're thinking here. We got your very typical TJ Hockenson, Justin Jefferson at the 4-5 turn. Stack kind of setting up. Go ahead and take Kirk at the 8-9 turn. So I'm liking this team as a whole going forward. I do want to make sure that everybody checks out the live stream. I'm very excited for that. It'll be different for us to hopefully have some live interaction, answer questions as things come around, put tough situations on our brains, like the this or that's in front of our face instead of lower in the draft. Somebody actually got the Justin Fields, DJ Moore stack. That doesn't happen that often anymore. Seems like I haven't gotten it much. Seems like it's been taken in front of me quite a bit. I also have to apologize for my voice. Seems like I'm getting a sore throat, some kind of cold. Maybe it's seasonal allergies. I don't know. I'm not like sick. I just don't feel the best, and my throat kind of hurts. I'm a little scratchy. So, but that's the worst thing that happens to us. We're doing okay. All right, 6 picks away. A lot of running backs on board. Not a lot of receivers, which is kind of rough. I'm kind of fading Brandon Ayuk recently. I've taken him here and there. I think I've gotten my share of him. We're definitely going to have to reach a little bit probably on who we're drafting here. Don't need to even look at tight end. We really shouldn't look at running back. We definitely need to punch 2 wide receivers here. I was going to say Chris Godwin would be my ideal pick. It seems like his ADP is on the rise too. I haven't been able to get him much when I've been drafting in the later half of drafts here. Pittman comes off the board. That's fine. I haven't been super excited on Pittman recently. I don't hate Mike Evans here. We can get some New Orleans stacks pretty easily later. Same thing with the Pittsburgh stacks. We do need to also look in Miami. We could also consider J.K. Dobbins. No, we can't. It seems like that happens all the time when we're really looking at the people we want to draft. I love Miles Sanders as a player right now, but we don't have any Jacksonville correlation unless we went Tanks Bigsby later. Zay Jones would also be an option. I really do think we need to punch wide receiver here because we missed on it early. Let's go ahead and do Tyler Lockett. And I want to say Mike Evans. And we can also set up a Baker stack as a worst case scenario later in the draft. We do need to look. I think we can get Dak at ADP later too. I think that's where Dak's ADP has been sitting around 98. Ooh, we'd have to push it. I could reach or we could push it. Oh man, I don't think anybody's drafted anybody else from Dallas. Pickens comes off the board super early. We definitely like Deontay a lot more than Pickens and kind of have agreed on that for a while. Somebody else we can look at is Geno here. It kind of sucks that we built around the Detroit Dallas. We can still get Jared Goff later. We can be looking at J-Mo. Marvin Jones is a very late round guy we could get to build out that wide receiver room too. Speaking aloud, thinking of the future here. Let's go ahead and queue up some guys around 80 that we're looking at. Brandon Cooks, if we really wanted to go Dallas, heavy, it would kind of scare people away from taking Dak, and maybe Dak would fall. If D-Hop ends up in Dallas, that could be another guy. The guy's drafting as he's right. That's going to happen. That's a little scary. Madison is another guy that probably ADP is going to shoot up here quite a bit going forward because I really think that we're on the verge of getting that Dalvin Cook to Miami News or wherever he's going to go. So if we want to play like that, we could draft him and hope that the Miami Baltimore stack plays out. That's something to consider. Be real thin at wide receiver is the only issue if we did that. If Dalvin falls to us, I think we almost have to. Let's go ahead and set it up like that. I'm liking the idea of it, but is it going to happen? Probably not. So we're still a whole round away from our selections here. Normally, I know the thing is 4 wide receivers by round 7. I mean, we're drafting at the end of round 7, so it doesn't make a massive difference if we take our 4th one in round 8. I mean, it's just a matter of where it falls. So we'd have 3 running backs. I mean, that's the typical build, I feel like, actually, is 4 wide receivers, 3 running backs. By that point, normally you take a tight end or a quarterback. And if we get Dak to follow us, that'd be awesome. So I'm really thinking our best course here is to try to push Dak and hope for the best that he falls around past ADP. Been putting a lot of investment in Dak. I don't have a huge trust in him. We can kind of build a 3-2 potentially, being 3 quarterback, 2 tight end, build with him. Yet to be determined on the running back, wide receiver situation. Probably end up a little bit higher on the wide receiver. Probably will be looking at a 3-5-8-2 in this one. We can get Baker around the last draft pick. We could look at Geno depending where we're at in ADP. We might have to look at him a little heavier. Where is Geno's ADP in reference? 115 to our spots. So we could take him at 108, 109. That wouldn't be the worst thing ever. We might get Dalvin to fall to us. If Dalvin falls to us and ends up in Miami, that would be a massive game stack that we got early before it blows up. If we do go that, we probably should take one of the Miami running backs just as a backup later in the draft. Probably wait on Jeff Wilson or Mostert. Madison comes off the board. Yeah, I'm thinking what we got on board is where we need to go. We do need to come up with a backup plan just in case. We definitely want to go Brandon Cooks. I'm trying to think who else we would like. We could stick harder on the Tampa and go Rachaad White. I almost rather go one of the Baltimore receivers here. I kind of hope we just get Dalvin to fall past here and Cooks doesn't come off the board, as Cooks comes off the board in traditional fashion. That sucks because this guy will be drafting before us. We're going Dalvin for sure here. I just want to look at this guy's team. He built the stack. He already drafted Burrow, so he'd probably pass on. It's what I'm expecting. I would expect for him to pass. Let's go ahead and just do Dalvin Bateman. Build the game stack. Build as if Dalvin ends up there. Ends up in Miami. I also think we should draft some Green Bay players later if we can, just to be safe. Maybe like a Jalen Reed or a Romeo Doubs if that comes around. Even A.J. Dillon, if he falls that far, wouldn't be bad. So the wide receiver room is a little loose currently. I don't hate it, but I'm not in love with it by any means. We got a lot of guys that have performed, but a lot of older guys that are kind of trending towards the outs. Mike Evans, is he going to have 10 years straight of 1,000 yards? Be pretty impressive. I mean, what kind of streak like that happens? I'm not sure actually if there's been any other receivers that did that. I'm sure there's people up there, maybe like Randy Moss. My knowledge doesn't go that deep. I was very young when Randy Moss was an elite wide receiver. It hurts me to see James Conner falling this far past ADP, even if it is just a couple spots, because I love James Conner. I think he's going to be a workhorse back. He'll get a whole lot of carries, and he's going to catch the ball. I think he's just going to fill the role. These 3 running backs, our running back room is probably going to end up way stronger than it ever has before. I am definitely scared about the wide receiver room as a whole. But it could work out. Let's queue up Dak. Trying to think if there's anybody else. We could look Tua if it falls that way. I don't know who we draft wide receiver wise. We could definitely take somebody at the end, and it would be a very weak game stack correlation there. We're looking at 108. Who else? We could steal Kirk Cousins and then get a KJ Osborne potentially if we wanted to go that way. Just trying to think some out of the box options. Charbonnet is another running back that we probably shouldn't take because we're kind of hitting that wide receivers dead zone here where it gets weird for a little bit. Zay Jones is another piece that I like around this spot, but we'd be reaching to get him around ahead of ADP. I'm just kind of worried that where we're at quarterback wise, we're going to end up falling in a bad way. Hopefully Dak doesn't come off the board one pick before us. That's essentially where we're at, I think. Don't think anybody else has any major Dallas pieces. Tony Pollard is here. This guy went really running back heavy. I mean, that's a scary room in my eyes. JSN as your wide receiver 3. Drake London. Cooper Kupp is, I mean, even London can be kind of risky at this point. We don't know how much Atlanta is going to be throwing the ball, but he's got a lot more drafts under his belt than I do, as you can see there. Also, you can be building to a certain game standard, change things up, make it a little different, a little fun. Make things the way you haven't had them before. It's interesting seeing all 4 quarterbacks almost go in a row here, the major quarterbacks, the big 3, and Lamar on the outskirts, if you want to consider Lamar as an outskirt top 3 quarterback. We haven't seen Lamar do a lot. He's been injured quite a bit, and I think that throws people off a little bit from Lamar. Obviously, when you're drafting these drafts, you got to play that everybody's going to be healthy throughout the season, hope for the best. That's why you draft people like Dalvin Cook that have had shoulder injuries in the past that I don't think they've played all 16 picks, or all 16, 17, depending how long they've been around, games in a long time. Tua coming off the board is scary for us. Does make quite a bit of sense for this guy's team. I'm assuming, he's got Tyreek. Might as well make a smart reach. Excuse me, how many took Justin Fields right there too? Interesting. Okay. He's got DJ Moore, right? Yeah, so he's got his quarterback room nice and settled. He's going to be hurting a little bit at running back, and he got the game stack here running back wise. So I really think that our concern is Dak coming off spot before us. We got to look at where we want to go after Dak. So 6 picks away. We could go A.J. Dillon. We did touch on that. It does scare me a little bit. Not having a whole bunch of wide receiver space. Otherwise, we're looking at Lazard. We could get Jerome Ford later. DPJ has been falling in drafts, and he's another guy I like. If D-Hop doesn't end up there, I think he'll end up not shooting back up the board, but he's been falling in drafts. So let's go ahead and double tap this for now. OBJ off the board. Please, Dak, just hold on. Okay. Got to reassess here. So we can go Geno. I think we have to take Geno here, no matter what. Sucks that came off the board like that. We could also tap Kirk Cousins here. We don't have a whole lot of Pittsburgh options going forward. I almost think we go Kirk and then let's just leave it as Geno because we know we want Geno. We already have Dalvin. Man, that one's tough. Not a lot of Rams players we could build around too. We could go 3-2. Tight end. If we went, we can get a lot of wide receivers with Daniel Jones pretty safely. I almost want to go Kirk. Let's go Kirk. Let's stick Kirk. They have different bye weeks. Just want to make sure I'm not ruining myself there. So let's see where KJ Osborne. You got to take Kirk. Oops, excuse me. Got to take Kirk at this turn if you want him. You want to get the full game stack there. So we definitely need to get some Green Bay players in here now. We're drafting as if Dalvin is staying in Minnesota as well. Got our game stacks all over the freaking place. All right, so let's go ahead. KJ, he's 153. Add him up into our queue here. That should be an okay risk going forward. What about Romeo? Dubs 137. I believe that's our next come around. That would be a decent reach there. Romeo. There we go. All right, so we need some Pittsburgh players. So we might go. Let's add him in here too, just in case. And then Jaylen Warren. Oh, sorry about that. I got all my hotkeys and I'm typing players in. I'm throwing on myself all over the board here. Note to change that later in the draft. My hotkeys to switch my scenes, making sure that we're as smooth as possible here at the climb. As smooth as we didn't look right there. I think these two guys would be good picks for us going forward. We do need to look New Orleans as well. We can get some wide receivers later for New Orleans. Just to get the Tampa Bay stack. We could even get Taysom the stack with Mark Andrews later. That actually is probably what I would want to do most. So let's go ahead and find Taysom in here. Add him later in the draft. Is Taysom somebody that's reasonable with our ADP? Not really. It's always in the middle. Everybody we want is in the middle where our ADP is actually falling. I do think you see A-Chain sliding here because of the Dalvin Cook rumors. Ooh, man. All right. I'm trying to get myself through all this scary draft stuff that I've been doing. I mean, I'm all over the place in this one. We need some Pittsburgh. We got Detroit covered. We got Dallas, Detroit covered. Seattle, like I said, we need some Pittsburgh. We need some Green Bay just in case everything stays that way. Baltimore, it would be good to draft some Miami players. We'll look at running backs later in reference to that. We can go ahead and throw up Jeff Wilson. There you go. And Raheem Mostert just as a backup. Basically, the wide receiver room for Miami is kind of sickening going forward, too. It would be a last round pick if we wanted anybody like Perrios, Robbie Anderson, Chosen Anderson, Cedric Wilson. You'd be guessing on whoever there. Not a real huge fan of a lot of people on the board right now. Mooney, I've been okay on. Jamal Williams, I've already preached myself about. He wouldn't be a bad running back to take here. We could go Allen Robinson late if we wanted to change our Pittsburgh stack. Jamal Williams wouldn't be bad if we wanted to stack that with Mike Evans. Just something to consider. It'd be pretty well past ADP at that point for Jamal Williams. I think he can be a guy that stabilizes. We do need wide receivers. And that's what's getting scary here. So if we're looking at all these guys on board, because we're pretty much rounding out our running back room here soon if we continue to go this way. It would be hard for me to pass on somebody like Jamal Williams 10 spots past ADP. Very, very tough. 5 spots past ADP. Well, that makes it a little easier. Sorry, excuse me. My brain is scattered. Well, we don't have to think about that. I think we're back to reaching on Jaylen Warren here. Yeah, if we're going to complete some of these game stacks, we got to potentially go Michael Gallup. This guy might draft him, though, because he probably doesn't have any Dallas left on his team. Kind of out of right field that he took him. Doesn't have anybody from Detroit. Yeah, thanks. Trey Lance in the 11th. Interesting. I guess you can go ahead and get your guys, get your game stacks going forward. Didn't have to worry about that one as much. Kincaid off the board. That's a very risky pick, kind of in line with the way the guy's draft has been going. Yeah, this is rough. Dubs came off the board too. Trying to think where else. Probably Michael Gallup is our best spot here to stay on par with wide receiver, or else we're really going to be chasing it quite a bit. Yeah, this is rough. Stick with these two guys we've been betting on big time. We really need to hit wide receiver heavy coming back around. if these two guys fall to us, we're going to be looking okay. But until then, I think we're going to be looking real, real scared. Dalton Schultz off the board next. Let's go ahead and pick it up. Yeah, that just still shocks me that Dak came off with that guy looking at his team, but I think this guy might be a little new to best ball. I mean, he's got some game correlation here. He's got Sean Watson, Amari Cooper stack. Does he have anybody from the Jets? Nobody from the Chargers. Doesn't have any Buffalo, New England stack. Any sort? Nope. No, nobody. It's like must be his first year. Because I mean, those were the teams I was taking. I probably made a lot of people frustrated without knowing what I did exactly, because didn't have any clue what I was doing. To be frank, Jordan Love should also be on our radar as a maybe guy for a worst case scenario. Then we round out the quarterback room and can sit on that too. If one of these guys come up, and we can push Jordan Love and hope that he falls around. If he falls around, then we can go Taysom hopefully here with him. Taysom will come off the board. It is amazing to me that Taysom's ADP is as low as it is. I figured he'd probably be sitting more around this range, like the 17 to 20, because Juwan Johnson will have performances, but I don't think he'll have the spike performances like Taysom will. Laporta is a rookie, and Gerald Everett is touchdown dependent. Barring Taysom is very much week dependent, but his big spike weeks will really put you in front of people in these kind of drafts. So he's kind of a guy that I've grown on a little bit here, a little bit there. Chig auto draft, that makes sense. Chig is actually pretty good for him. Got a couple Houston, Tennessee stack already. That's a good landing spot for him there. Coming around next. Let's see, A-Chain came off the board 121. That's pretty late. I do need to look at Rashid 2 as another game stack for Tampa with Mike Evans. Find him down here on our list. Another guy that's probably not in our ADP range, but hope for the best. It's getting tough here. We're pushing a lot, and it's scary with this turn push. Not exactly in love with this team yet. I was at the front for probably through about the first 6-7 rounds. 8 rounds, I guess, technically, where this team was going good, but these last 4 rounds have not gone our way. Dak coming off right before us. Then we had Romeo Doubs come up a few spots early. Actually, quite a bit early, wasn't it? Wasn't he 130 something? I don't want to flip over in the middle of my camera. Guy's team pops on the board. Where's he at? There you go. 137. About 9 spots ahead of ADP. So we still got our 2 main guys on board. That's good. That's exciting. Matter of us getting there. Juwan Johnson comes off the board. Speaking of the devil. Definitely going to pass on Mostert here. I don't see any reason. We got a lot of wide receivers on board that we could go. We didn't go any Jets. Couldn't remember. I've been doing a lot of drafts today, apparently, and my brain's been a little sideways on who I've been taking where and what. It seems like I've done a lot from the 12 spot, so I've been trying to get creative at the 12 spot. Russ, Mr. Unlimited off the board. Good value there. Real good value there. Greg D would be also some awesome value. I'm not sure if he's got tight ends yet. Got Freiermuth if it comes back around. That'd be an awesome pick for him there. That's where I would go if I was him. That's what I'm totally expecting. Let's see. Algier off the board next. Getting nervous about our spots here as KJ Osborne is the next wide receiver on the board. Few spots past ADP. Could very much. Purdy comes off the board. Is this the guy that took Trey Lance? Interesting. Well, you got your starter there. You get surprised every once in a while, I'll tell you what. Chase Brown off the board, about 2 rounds ahead of ADP, a round and a half past ADP. There's a lot of people that are coming off the board way sooner than expected. Luckily, we get our guys here. That one could have been scary. Could have been real scary. So we got the decent game stack correlation. So I think these guys would both be our next pick if they fall to us. I'm not exactly banking on Shaheed to fall to us, but if he does, that'd be amazing. Taysom would be another good guy. Dawson Knox wouldn't be a bad. We could actually go ahead and game stack this right off the bat if we wanted. That's about the point where we're taking it at as those guys fly. Oh, no, we won't. I was wondering why that looked so weird there. I wonder if this guy has some kind of weird challenge he's doing with this, because it's just different and odd. Greg D, did he get the Russ stack? That's an awesome stack there, especially as late it is. He'll be looking at Mims probably around with his next pick if he's still floating there. No, he won't be. Man, that's been happening a lot. Seems like any player I talk about just instantly comes off the board. Mims would have been a slider there for sure. Maybe we should start coming up with a game plan just in case. Looking around that 180 ADP. One stack I kind of like, and not a stack necessarily. We do need to look at a 4th running back sooner rather than later too. It seems like I've been able to get Mechie Tajay here at the turn just because it's interesting. It's a game stack for potentially a high scoring game from teams that aren't super amazing. Not exactly sure if that'll turn out into anything. Derrick Henry gets moved, Derrick Henry gets hurt, doesn't want to play, that kind of thing. Jeff Wilson off the board, can't say we're too super surprised there. These picks are moving now. Rashid Shaheed, one of the most fun names to say and also most difficult in my eyes, comes off the board, or still on the board. We're getting to the risky where it could fall, but will it? I don't know. DPJ's, like I said, ADP for whatever reason just keeps tanking. I know that D-Hop's looking potentially to go there. We didn't get anybody from Chicago yet. I did miss on the running back there. There he goes, DPJ off the board. Some good value potentially. Yeah, we do need to look a 4th or 3rd quarterback still. We're kind of on the borderline of doing a 6 running back, 2 quarterback. We don't have a huge upside with our quarterbacks here. Laporta off the board. Shoot dang. Taysom off the board. All right. I do need to look at another tight end later. I really don't hate the idea of taking Noah Fant as our 2nd tight end and just leaving it there. That would be fine with me. We really need Shaheed to fall to us. It would be interesting to go ahead and go Zeke, because he's another guy that could end up in... Ooh, that's not good for us. Not good. Our team's falling in front of our eyes. Just picks before us. Claypool would be an option if we wanted to get the Chicago bring back with Bijan. I think that might be a better pick here. It's a little bit of a reach, but nothing too crazy. Our boy Izzy A is climbing the board apparently. Mechie comes off the board. That kind of takes out Tajay for us. I really don't hate the idea of going Zeke Claypool, solely for the fact that Zeke could end up in Miami still, even if he ends back up in Dallas. We got the game stacks built around it. Not sure where that's going to be, but we know Zeke would fly up the boards if he's there. So let's go Zeke. Make sure I don't have anybody else crazy. Go ahead and go Claypool. I think for the Chicago Atlanta bring back. That's the smart thing to do. So we got Minnesota, Green Bay, Atlanta, Chicago taken care of. Pittsburgh, Seattle. Let's add Fant to our board just as a don't forget me kind of thing. Got 2 more picks. Could go Baker if we want quarterback. I feel okay with our running back room. We got Miami, Baltimore pretty well covered. Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago, Atlanta. I think everything's pretty well game stacked besides somewhere in New Orleans. So if we wanted to take a flyer, I'm not even sure who else is in the New Orleans wide receiver room at this point. So we'll probably leave that one as a unicorn. Missing out on Taysom there was kind of our last hope. I think Baker will be our last round pick. Let's see if there's anybody that we're totally forgetting of. Could go Allen Robinson too if we wanted to go super spread out the wide receiver room here since it is a little bit light. Not sure exactly. I think we go with the guys we got on board though. Finish out our draft. Jerome Ford. He's been falling in ADP. Where is it? His 174 is his ADP now. Falling forward, not falling down, that's for sure. He's a guy we definitely liked a lot. If he receives any of the Kareem Hunt work from 2 years ago, should be pretty interesting. Renfro, one guy that's fallen on my draft board quite a bit recently. I was super interested in him for a long time, but the whole quarterback situation has made it kind of nerve-wracking. Don't know how nerve-wracking, but if Jimmy G isn't the starter there, I am quite a bit worried about that team going forward. I think if we do see Baker come off the board, we take Allen Robinson instead and roll with 2 quarterbacks just to make it a little bit different. With the Pitt bring back here, Pitt, Seattle, get some wide receivers in that game. Fournette comes off the board. He's a guy that I think doesn't play this year. And if he does, it's based on an injury from one of the bigger teams that need a veteran running back that can come in and perform right away. Just where my brain's been falling recently. No super exclusive tight ends. Isaiah Likely's the only other guy that I feel like I'd want to draft here. And I don't think we want to go Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely as a double tap. Got real good roster construction with this team as a whole. This is kind of the typical build I've been sticking around. It's been 2-5-8-3 or 2-6-8-2 has seemed to be my most popular landing spot since I've been drafting tight end early. Seems like I've ended up drafting a lot of quarterback early as well. Don't know why, just seems like where it's been. So overall, this team is pretty good. After we get these last 2, we'll do a quick recap of the correlations. I kind of already talked about them a little bit, as I do, as the dead zone of exciting players to talk about comes around. Tajay has really fallen. That's crazy. I almost want to consider him, but just as a high-end upside running back pick. But I think we kind of risked it with Zeke. Maybe we do go 2-6-2 here and skip on Baker. I think we're going to get consistent performances out of Kirk and Geno, but there's not huge upside between the two. I don't think we get it from Baker either, and that's the only reason why I'm considering it. Let's go ahead and queue it up this way. If Tajay comes off the board, it wasn't meant to be. If he stays on the board, it was meant to be. Just because he's running against Houston twice in playoff weeks, 15 and 17, I believe. So if Henry's out, Tajay's an amazing pick, as there's not much competition in that back room. I do feel a little light at quarterback. All right, we said we were going to do it. Take the value and run with it. So, quarterback, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Running back, we took Bijan Gibbs, Delvin Cook, Jalen Warren, Ezekiel Elliott, Tajay Spears. Wide receivers, we got CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Lockett, Mike Evans, Rashad Bateman, Michael Gallup, KJ Osborne, Jaden Reed, Chase Claypool, and at tight end, we got Mark Andrews and Noah Fant. For game correlations, go ahead and start with the Seattle-Pittsburgh people, Geno Smith, Jalen Warren, Tyler Lockett, and I believe that is it on that one. Noah Fant was our last round pick there. Don't want to forget you there, buddy. Minnesota, Green Bay, currently we have Kirk Cousins, the theoretical Dalvin Cook, Jaden Reed. I don't think we took any. Oh, KJ Osborne. I was like, I don't know if we took any wide receivers there. I think our Atlanta game stack is pretty short. We took Bijan and Chase Claypool. Minnesota, we already talked about. Detroit, Dallas. We got Jahmyr Gibbs. Potential Ezekiel Elliott. There's a lot of potential Ezekiel Elliott stuff here. If he ends back up in Dallas, ends up in Miami, whatever there. CeeDee Lamb. Anybody from... We didn't take any receivers from Detroit. Interesting. That seems very unlike me. Been so in on JMO and Laporta being our two guys, but since we took Andrews, definitely fade on Laporta there. Michael Gallup being the only other one on that side. Pittsburgh, Seattle, we talked about nobody. Tajay's a unicorn. Baltimore, we have Bateman. Mark Andrews, hoping that Zeke or Dalvin ends up in Miami. So we missed out on the Miami gain stack there, but there is still possibility that ends up the way it does. So I think we touched on everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe for more. Also, once again, sorry about my commentary with my scratchy throat. I did my best. I promise you that. And hopefully you start feeling better because we got a big week of content ahead. So like and subscribe for more. Comment on what you thought about the team. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you.